Back in 2016, Bloober Team dropped Layers of Fear, their debut into the psychological horror scene. And let me tell you, opinions were all over the map. Some folks hailed it as a horror masterpiece, while others just shrugged it off as not scary enough. But regardless of the buzz, Layers was a game changer for Bloober, nudging them in a whole new direction. Before diving into horror though, Bloober dabbled in all sorts of games, none of which even flirted with horror. Now, I'm not one to jump on bandwagons, and Layers of Fear did not escape my skepticism. Now fast forward to 2021, and Bloober's Medium hit the scene, promising a AAA experience with a dash of Silent Hill vibes. The whole dual reality concept, pretty slick. But for me, it fell flat. So when Observer really landed in my queue, I did not realize it was from the same crew until last minute. And you know what? Ignorance is bliss. Because Observer, it's off the charts bonkers.
Hey there, it's Slosh from the future. The audio in this video is going to be kind of weird. I was trying something new. We will not be doing that again. That's for sure. Anyway, I apologize. Please still, give the video a shot. I worked hard on it, for your entertainment. So yeah, moving on.
My interest in Observer started with that box art. I mean, look at this thing. That is good art. Evocative, poignant, informative. Almost everything I wanted to know about the game I got from this thing. I was able to glean from the art alone that this is a horror game set in a cyberpunk dystopia. And that was all I needed to get started. But man, I was not prepared for what I would get. Body horror, psychological horror, mnemic horror, techno horror, all the horrors. Now, at the end of all of my reviews, I leave a little song that I've made. And of course, this is a common thread. Rock, metal, electronic, etc. What I'm getting at is leave me some recommendations for maybe some bands that I haven't checked out yet. Could be your friend's band or something you've been jamming for quite a minute. I'm also really into like political hip hop. Old MCs and ciphers, so if you got anybody like that, holler at your boy, for real. Just, please don't recommend Sleep Token. They are awful. And I expect you to explain why to me down in the comments as to why I'm wrong. So, I honestly did not expect Observer to be as good as it was, and now here we are. let's begin. So, Observer for me is a unique case when it comes to immersion. For a while in the first half of the game, I really couldn't get into it, which is the entire reason I kind of finished the game so quickly. Because the first half, look, man, I was literally fighting off falling asleep. You can see it. You see it in this footage that I'm putting behind myself right now of me just straight up not having a good time. And then on my second stream, I literally could not stop playing. I was hooked. It went from 4 to 10 within about 5 minutes of starting my second stream. And then by the end of it, the game decided 10 just wasn't enough and jumped it up to 15. It was at the first corpse that we plug into that things really took off. It's like a drug-induced cyberpunk disco. And it only gets crazier from the get-go. And every corpse you plug into, the game becomes more and more unhinged, blurring the lines between your player character's memories and the corpse's memories. By the end of it, I had a hard time discerning between my character's memories and the victims I was observing. Now, while I didn't really enjoy the universe, I found the game gets unintentionally fourth wall-y, if that's even a thing. The memory sequences where you're jumping from the player characters to the victim memories and you just are completely... There were definitely sequences that I had a really hard time suspending my disbelief. But that's not entirely a bad thing, at least in Observer's case. Which is why I found it to be so unique. Immersion plays a large part in how I enjoy games. So... it felt great to have that challenged thoroughly in my opinion, a very thoughtful way. While I initially had a hard time feeling out the game and putting myself in its world, by the end of it, I was just begging for it to not end. And despite my playtime only being 5 hours, just completion, the game fucking packs that 5 hours that I played. Well, at least 4 of those hours were action-packed. But in that time, I was completely floored almost the entire time. And just when I thought my jaw could hit the ground, like the floor opened up to reveal more floor for my jaw to fucking hit. I did have a hard time immersing myself, but I found that whole concept to be just... I enjoyed it. I enjoyed being challenged by the game. And I don't really know what else to say about that. It was really insightful. Hey, listen up, folks. I got a story that'll leave you feeling grittier than a back alley at midnight. So... picture this. You're cruising through the world of Observer. And let me tell you, it's a real head scratcher. You're this guy, Daniel, and out of the blue your kid Adam gives you a ring. It turns out he's chilling up in some rundown joint they call the C District. Real dump for the less fortunate. So you hoof it over to his digs, only to stumble upon a grisly sight. Adam Sans noggin right there in his crib. Now, Daniel ain't buying his whole scene, so he starts poking around. Turns out, there's a psycho on the loose, leaving a trail of bodies in his wake. And as you unravel the mystery, you also peel back the layers on Dan's life. The gist of it? Adam got his boot from his gig at Chiron, so he hires some goon to snatch his research files, figuring the company would drop the ball. He snags the goods and dives into his pet project, transferring minds to cyberspace for that eternal life gig. But then, Cyber Adam starts getting ideas, sends an assassin to tidy up loose ends, and it's game on. Now, you're faced with a couple endings, both as rotten as a month-old sardine. First option, embrace Adam. Your minds meld and he takes the wheel, and you're left screaming into the void as he struts off like he owns a joint. Second choice, reject Adam, and let me tell you, it's like hitting the turbo button on a garbage truck. You realize you've been stuck in VR with Adam messing with your head. He kicks you to the curb and leaves your mind stuck in a janitor bot. You eventually roll up on Adam and try to take him down, but the fuzz crashed the party, and you end up Swiss cheese. Either way, it's a one-way ticket to Mysteryville. There's some side quests to break up the monotony, but the main event, it's a roller coaster. Straight to the dumps. And you know what? That's just the way I like it. Messed up, grim, and utterly hopeless. It's the kind of ride you only take once, but hey, it's wild while it lasts. Here's the lowdown on gameplay. Observer jumps on the PT bandwagon, but with, a cyberpunk twist. Not your usual stroll down endless corridors. Mechanics are pretty much a copy-paste job. You got some puzzles, a snooze fest worthy hacking minigame, and 3 vision modes: electromagnetic, biological, and night vision. Electromagnetic lets you scope out the tech stuff, like chips and gizmos on the victims and in the scenery. Bio, it's all about scanning them genetic goodies and anything living. And then there's the night vision. You will never guess what this does. It gives you vision in the night. Yup. Lets you see when the lights are out. It honestly feels like I'm stating the obvious here. Bottom line, it's a walk in the park, or rather, a walk in a simulator. Played one, played them all. So the horror it's really special in this game. Observer touches on a few themes: body horror, psychological horror, techno horror, and something I like to think that I coined myself: mimic horror, memory horror. So let's talk a little about how Observer implements these genres in its world. Now, body horror is the easiest. It starts with informing the player of a nanophage, a digital plague as the game describes it, that has killed countless augmented humans. Many are trapped by their augments after the countless wars and heavy drug use. Many after the wars were forced in augmentations to survive, and they now suffer long after, even if they had lived relatively comfortable lives. Many doctors still perform those surgeries. Now, the augmentations also managed to destroy many families, especially after the nanophage. Daniel, the player character, he got into a car accident, I think, and he was was predicted to not survive, and much to his own ire, chose to become augmented so he can survive and take care of his son. But it seems that Chiron equipped him with some observer tech and made him property of the company. And his augments are also what helped lock him out of his own mind. Daniel, the player character, his own body is wielded against him as a weapon to bring him down. Now, psychological horror comes large part in dream sequences. You experience flashes of the victims' lives leading up to their murders, and these experiences bleed into Daniel's own experiences, making it very hard to tell what is real and what's not. In fact, if you pick a certain ending, it basically erases almost half of the game. The techno horror in this was one of my favorites of the horror genres. Adam wields Daniel's own modified body against himself, and there's nothing Daniel can do about it. Daniel's an observer, basically a cop that can infiltrate your mind and extract your memories using a device called the Dream Eater. It's not made clear whether or not this device can alter memory, but it is made clear by every person you encounter. They don't trust observers. They trust them a lot less than actual cops, it feels like. Which maybe means that they're led to believe that that is a possibility. And that idea can then be reflected back to the player to make us believe that possibility. A lot of the game's technologies are just nightmare machines. You can put your fucking consciousness in a vacuum cleaner robot and be trapped there for all eternity. Technology can be scary. Maybe the Black Mirror guy was right. Now, Mnemic horror, the horror of memory, brings us back to all of the types of horror that we've talked about so far. Every major plot point comes back to memory. Whether it be the citizens being afraid of the observers, or Janice, whose story we can read in an email, but he can barely remember who or what he is. And you, Daniel, who throughout the game has his memory tampered with so to be more easily manipulated by Adam. Memory's everything in Observer. You play as someone who can enter the memory of people. The only way to progress the game is to enter the memories of the killer's victims. The real Adam was stricken from the world because he uploaded his memory, and it determined that it was the real Adam. His memory, his own memory, determined that its version was the only real version. All this to say, we are who we are because of our memories, and everything you experience in Observer is meant to tamper with it. If someone enters your mind and tampers with your memory, are you still you? Do you even exist anymore? If you upload your memory into a database, are you still the you that uploaded your memory? Or are you the construct? In both instances, your memories continue on. What if you have to kill one? How do you determine which you is you? You're both you. Your memories clearly determine that. So who is more you than the others? Anyway, look at this cool scene from Soma where you have to copy your memory and leave yourself to die.
Sorry about any discomfort. This should be over soon.
It's like having your picture taken.
But with the most expensive camera in the world.
You know, Indians thought photos would steal their souls.
In this case, they'd be right.
There must be something wrong. Can't you run a diagnosis or something?
What was that?
No, it's just...
Why was it still talking?
It's the same like before.
Catherine, why was he still talking?
That's how it works, you know that.
What do you mean?
You know it's not magic. You were copied. The sleeping Simon in the seat was copied, and now you are here, just like Simon lived on in Toronto.
God damn you, Kath. 2 Simons? There can't be 2 Simons.
What did you think would happen?
That you were gonna take my mind and put it into another body, like a brain transplant.
I'm sorry, it wouldn't work that way.
You realize how messed up this is?
Please, I didn't mean to upset you.
How did you expect me to react to this shit?
Please stop.
You're fucking disgusting. What's gonna happen to him?
He'll sleep for a while, a few days.
And then what? Wake up in this fucking nightmare again? All alone? So cruel.
Well, what do you want me to do with him? Make friends? Let him know that we have to leave him behind when we go into the abyss?
What if he didn't need to wake up?
You'd do that?
I don't know. Maybe.
There. I set it up for you. Hit the switch if you want to drain his battery. He'll die within a minute. I'd rather not stay plugged in any longer.
Horror can be a lot of things, but in Observer, I found the notion of someone being able to tamper with my memory to be completely horrifying. I found it even more horrifying that that kind of horror could be easily sanctioned by the state. There are many things that make you uniquely you, but none of those things matter if you cannot remember them. Adam breaks into his father's mind, tampers with his memory for the sole purpose of taking his body. And it was easy. All he had to do was set him on the right path. The thought of losing oneself to another. That is horrifying. Despite a very, very rough start, Observer really sets itself apart from countless other PT clones. It's still a walking simulator, like all the others, but it's been given a fresh look and a new setting. Gone of the hallways, our house and apartment. Now the cyberpunk hallways are in. The setting is dark and dystopian, and the characters of the world are beaten and downtrodden by a civilization that has no regard for them. Hell, Janice fought in a war and was granted cybernetics that just ruined his life more than any accident could. Daniel nearly lost his life, and I'm assuming a car accident, and the only way for him to survive was to sell his body to Chiron and install cybernetics that only saved him for a little while, as they ended up being his demise. The game is as bleak and depressing and fucking trippy as hell, dude. So now we come to the important part of the review. The reason you're here. Should you buy this game and play it? Unequivocally, yes. Absolutely. Buy Observer Redux. Play the shit out of it. I missed a lot of content speeding through the way I did, and some of the side quests seemed really cool. Apparently there are women locked in the basement of the apartment complex. Can we save them? Fucking doubt it. But I'd like to know what happened, and you should too. Now, if you're looking for a unique take on the PT formula and want something you can beat in about 2 play sessions, this is it. And also, for all my Sony boys and girls and lords, thieves, envies. It's free for PlayStation Plus Extra. Just $14 a month. PlayStation Plus Extra. Bunch of cool horror games. It's an option if you don't want to buy it outright. It's an option if you're already using PS Plus. If you're not using PS Plus, don't get PS Plus just to play this fucking game. Fucking buy it. If you're just gonna get PS Plus to play this fucking game, the game's like $15. Just fucking buy the game. If you're only gonna use PS Plus to play the game, buy it. Seriously. Buy the game. It's cool. It's a good game. Good game. Well, welcome to the end of the video. You know, I gotta say, I've been having a lot of fun doing these reviews, and I used to play in bands and shit and had a lot of fun doing that, but this shit, this is a fucking riot, dude. It feels like I can really flex my creativity, and I get to talk about my favorite hobby, video game, and, you know, work on new skills and, you know, write lots of cool stuff. Anyway, I'm glad you're here. Why don't you hit one of those thumbs down there? Doesn't matter which one, they both work, and go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. Maybe, I don't know, leave a comment about an unexpectedly good horror game you might have played, or even just an unexpectedly good game you played. I'm always looking to play games that aren't horror games. Hell, I'm playing the shit out of Helldivers 2 right now. Jesus Christ. Democracy never sleeps. I think that's the salute. I don't fucking know. Too busy killing bugs and robots. So, down below you'll also find a few links. For instance, did you know that I stream on Twitch every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday at around 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, sometimes 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. You know, it really just depends on what's going on. It'd be really cool to see you there. It's basically where the review happens. If you want to see, like, if you want to talk to me about what's happening in the game at that moment, if you want to see me talk about specific things in a review while I'm playing the game, that's the place to say, hey, I think it'd be cool if you talked about this particular thing we're experiencing right now in the review. I'd really like to hear your more evolved thoughts, you know, after you sat with it and let it, you know, turned it to a stew. So at writing of this script, I was taking a week off of horror, so I had to play catch up. It ended up being a bad idea. But I'm still ahead of my initial goal, and I spent the week playing Battlefield and Helldivers. It was just awesome. The first half was playing Battlefield, and then the second half I was doing Helldivers. You know, fucking only good bug is a dead bug, baby. Ah. On Sundays, generally, I do Gran Turismo, but I think Sundays just got, like, nuked by Helldivers because, listen, I'm not going to do a review of Helldivers, so here's my official review of Helldivers. If you got a PC or a PS5, we need your help. Come fucking play Helldivers with it. Come defend democracy, you know? Or Super Earth. But the next game I will be working on is Dead Space 3, which I will be working through with a VTuber friend of mine, Aurora VT. You can find her links below as well. Her streams are definitely more fun than mine. She enjoys playing her games where I'm looking to critique everything that moves. And, you know, I'm a YouTuber now, so I gotta shamelessly plug, I got a Patreon below. There's links below. No one subbing. Not really that big a deal. You know, this is what, like, my 5th or 6th video? I don't fucking know. I made one preemptively. I'm not expecting, like, anything to happen to it yet, but I have one. So if you're watching this in the future and you're like, man, I like this guy, so I have a Patreon, you know, got a Patreon. I put behind the scenes. I was like now, even now, early in the channel's like life, I'm putting like behind the scenes content up. They're not all the time, just because like, you know, right now no one's buying it, so I'm not like as quick to update because it's not as important. But you know, sometimes if I'm like really feeling something, straight to the Patreon. And you get to see a lot of, you know, again, behind the scenes content of all the reviews and other stuff that I might be working on, you know, music and games. Anyway, that's it. That's the video. Observer. What a game. Slosh out.